like it was a tool of voter suppression that was meant to make it harder for people who live in some of Texas's large, very large counties from dropping their ballots off. So on Tuesday,
You know, Harris County, 4.7 million people, one mail-in, one drop-off box to all of those people. That of course, it's not a coincidence that that county is bluer than others versus rural counties where it's predominantly Republican, where a thousand people per like there's a much lower number of people per drop-off box. So Trump appointee fired from FDA, still at FDA promoting unapproved drugs. Okay.
the first day of early in-person voting, the place where we saw the most notable long lines was in Harris County, which is where Houston is. And the line was a line of vehicles to drop ballots off at the Harris County's sole drop box. And I think that's really interesting because it shows how much enthusiasm there is.
I just want to let you know, this is why I said I don't think Texas is going to turn blue.
Out there, not just to vote this year, but there's enthusiasm among voters to express how enthusiastic they are
and the people who like don't understand. When you get fucking stoked, when you see these lines and you think it's indicative of voter enthusiasm, what you are failing to recognize is not. This is a sight of democracy failing right before our eyes. Cheering this on is like cheering on the fucking weird poverty porn you see on CNBC every now and then about like the homeless guy who walked 10 miles every day to work in an effort to purchase his first car or something. Okay, that's what you're cheering on. It's nearly identical. This should not be cheered. This should cause you to pick the pitchforks up and get mad about voter suppression. The rest of the world looks at these long lines and doesn't think, oh man, that's pretty poggers, like Joe Biden is gonna win for sure. They look at that and they go, what the fuck is going on in America? What a bunch of charlatans. I vote in 10 minutes, sometimes over the internet.
Oh, you're such a
depending on where you live, like in Estonia. Estonians be like, I vote on the internet. That's terrible. Anyway, you called this, by the way. This is a huge tell. A GOP strategist tells Bloomberg the Senate Republicans don't want a big stimulus bill now because they want to pivot hard to austerity under a Biden presidency, which would cripple it. No wonder McConnell is laughing. New piece. Yeah, I don't get it. Like, I don't know why people are... I mean, I get why people are shitting on Nancy Pelosi because she hasn't messaged this appropriately, and she had other points of power in the past. She could have forced the shutdown a month ago and said, we're not doing anything until you pass this fucking bill in the Senate. You tell us that you're going to give us the 2.2 trillion because the people need it. She could have done that. She didn't do that. She could have been messaging for months about how horrible the Republicans have been. But no, she sat on it. And the reason why she sat on it and the reason why she didn't fucking yell about it nonstop is because she thought that this hurts Donald Trump. Now, she's right. I think this does hurt Donald Trump. But it also hurts the American people. So I see that. But I also understand why she wouldn't concede in this circumstance and would push for 2.2 when she's already gone down from 3.4 to 2.2 trillion. It makes total sense for her not to go another 400 billion down, especially when it's not even going to happen. Like the Republicans are not going to concede to a 1.8 trillion anyway. People like Sam Cedar want to throw the ball back in the hands of the Republicans, and I think that's a failure in messaging. The ball is already on the hands of the Republicans. One concession has been made already. I don't know why other Democratic leaning commentators and other lefties are acting as though this is not single-handedly in the hands of the Republicans already. Like, yeah, they wanted to give $0. And then they were like, all right, we'll go up to 300 billion. It's 2.4 or 2.2, depending on who you fucking ask. I don't know. My timeline is blowing up like she should settle, but this is really just a messaging issue because it's not happening, right? Yeah. Are you supporting voting by mail? Because I think voting by mail could single-handedly bring down American democracy. Yeah, that's why. I am... These other lefties are letting their hatred of Nancy blind them to her doing this the right way. Well, I'm not going to sit here and say she's doing it this the right way, H-Bizzle. You heard what I said. She absolutely should have been gearing up for this moment by screaming from the fucking rooftops every goddamn day since July. Okay?
As you know, there are
and she hasn't, and that's fucking terrible. That's terrible optics, and that's how you arrive at this point. That's how you arrive at this point where now it seems like you're at fault to some degree.
To address the ongoing crisis,
I mean, we saw what she did with Wolf Blitzer yesterday, and people say it's bad optics. I don't give a fuck. Fuck Wolf Blitzer. Centrist trash. I think Nancy Pelosi's totally in the right to be like, what the fuck? This is the Republicans' fault. How dare you fucking spin this on me? She should have, again, messaged it better. But I'm not going to let my hatred of Nancy Pelosi blind me in that circumstance.
Americans who are being evicted from their homes. They can't pay the rent. Many Americans are waiting in food lines for the first time in their lives. Can you look them in the eye, Madam Speaker, and explain why you don't want to accept the president's latest stimulus offer?
I have for over 30 years represented my constituents. I know what their needs are. I listen to them, and their needs are not addressed in the president's proposal. So when you say to me, why don't you accept theirs? Why don't they accept ours?
To address the ongoing crisis, the updated HEROES Act creates a $50 billion emergency rental assistance fund and a $21 billion homeowner assistance fund, and provides $5 billion in funding for homeless services providers. Through no fault of their own, millions of people are also unable to make payments on credit cards, car loans, and their mortgages or rent. By suspending negative credit reporting during COVID-19 period, the HEROES Act ensures that these innocent consumers do not suffer further damage.
Matt Stoller is the only person. Him and David Dane are the only two people who agree with me on this, by the way, for the record. It's painful to agree with Nancy Pelosi on anything because she will make the worst possible public case for it. Yeah. And I wholeheartedly agree with Matt on this as well. I mean, he's like xenophobic as fuck, but he's very good on dark money. And he's also smart about... Wait, what is this? I'm going to bed now. Haas bed? What the fuck? That's funny. You guys are so silly. There are very few people on left Twitter, including Sam Cedar even, that I wouldn't even regard as like left Twitter. I think Sam Cedar's analysis on this sort of stuff is really on point. Jeff Stein is another person that I respect the opinion of. David Dayan and Matt Stoller are the only two people that agree with my take on this. And I think like Mike from PA and also Vosh. My take on it is that Nancy Pelosi is right to hold off because she has already conceded numerous times, and this is entirely on the hands of the Republicans, who are literally refusing to fucking concede to even the $1.8 trillion package. But people are making it seem like Republicans would say yes to 1.8 trillion, but won't say yes to 2.2. They're wrong. Republicans wanted 0, and they still want 0. They just don't want to even look like they are in support of Nancy Pelosi because they're afraid that like they might get primaried by some more reactionary elements within their own party.
The HEROES Act also suspends debt collection for consumers, small businesses, and nonprofits during this pandemic.
Now, Senator Ted Cruz was here yesterday, and he put the blame for the lack of a coronavirus relief package squarely on Democrats, saying they were refusing to cut a deal. Now, we've heard this kind of back and forth for months now, with nothing getting done, while unemployment continues to sit above 8%. Is there any hope that relief is on the way?
Yeah, there is some hope, but not because of Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was one of the people who said he wanted $0 for corona relief, and the only reason he voted for that tiny, what I called emaciated Republican bill, is they put in a provision that he wanted, which allowed rich people to get a full tax deduction, tax credit, when they put their kids in private school. So he is wrong. But we're fighting.
There's also a poison amendment in the Republican counterproposal that isn't even getting talked about, that also is incredibly frustrating. Why the fuck would Nancy Pelosi concede to $400 billion less dollars when Donald Trump is literally fucked? He's so fucked that like everyone is looking at the situation and going, Donald Trump is so fucked that everyone is looking at the situation and saying that Donald Trump is going to lose, and that's why the Senate Republicans are just trying to destroy the economy before an inevitable Biden victory. The 1.8 trillion in this circumstance also has, again, a poison bill, or like a poison pill amendment. What is that? An amendment that fucking destroys the rest of the bill if passed. This is something that people do. This is something that you do in politics. If you want to completely eviscerate the likelihood that Democrats will push for their own fucking agenda, you add this sort of thing into it. What is that? That is liability protection for businesses. Okay? They want to add that. They want to add this as an amendment to the $1.8 trillion counterproposal that Republicans are pushing for, where you will not be able to fucking sue your boss if you die of COVID or some shit. All right? Yeah, the corporate liability shield will have devastating consequences for years to come. So while I fucking absolutely hate Nancy Pelosi, and I do think that they certainly, like, Nancy Pelosi certainly playing a stronger hand here as a consequence of knowing that, like, any sort of stimulus proposal can help Donald Trump, would help Donald Trump, and that's part of the reason why she probably didn't advocate for her position and put pressure on Republicans that you can't really even pressure at this point, because they're just not going to deal with it. They don't give a fuck about Donald Trump winning. But the reason why she didn't message it as much early on for the past month when I was fucking yelling about it is probably because she thought it's better off. She'll have more leverage in the long run. And even if it doesn't work out, even if it does not work out, ultimately, it doesn't matter, because it hurts Donald Trump's chance of re-election. Because no matter what happens, if shit is fucked up, if shit is absolutely fucked up, imagine defending Pelosi. I think you're being very dishonest. As much as I think it's the Republicans' fault, the Dems have never been so ready to play political football with the bill. All while it's getting closer to the election, she cares more about optics than American people. I've seen her tweets, 9 remarks in the press from both sides. Dude, I know that Nancy Pelosi is an elitist shitbird, okay? But I'm not a fucking moron. I'm not going to sit here and act like, while she is, in a way, playing dishonest political football, that, like, the other side is not significantly worse. The Dems have zero excuse for not getting this done. Shut the fuck up. Like, you have the understanding of politics. You have the understanding of like, American politics and how it works, like a goddamn brainworm, okay? You sound like a fucking sea cucumber when you say idiotic shit like this. Like, Democrats have zero excuse not to get this done. Yeah, idiot? You think the Republicans were going to pass $1.8 trillion? Huh? If so, why did they say zero for the second stimulus originally? If so, why do they only concede to $300 billion for the second stimulus? How the fuck did we get all the way up to the White House saying $1.8 billion? Huh? How? How do we get there? Both sides are at fault, certainly, but one side's faults and failures and overall disdain for the American working class is pretty fucking clear in this circumstance. And there are already problems with the funding vehicles attached to Nancy Pelosi's proposal. Okay? If we go into the nitty-gritty, of that bill itself, yeah, there's still corporate relief there, some of which is necessary, some of which is just a concession to Republicans, and others are a concession to Democratic donors. There's also the way that like Nancy Pelosi is like targeting recovery. For example, instead of an expansion on Medicare, focusing on Cobra, focusing on funding the Cobra program, rather than focusing on giving more money or funding Medicare and expanding Medicare, at least for the duration of the fucking healthcare crisis. Something that Donald Trump says he wants to do. All right? But ultimately, if you also are operating under the assumption that Republicans are not even going to concede the 1.8 trillion, then why the fuck do you think it's better for Nancy Pelosi to say yes, just so the Republicans can say no? It doesn't matter. She's already said yes. She's already made concessions and lowered it to $2.2 trillion. Worsening working class people's conditions to own Trump. Hey, man, I'm really sorry. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off for you for the pretty yikes take. I'm really sorry to the crusty anarchists that are watching from their phones on here. Let me rip the Band-Aid off for you, okay? I'm not going to be so gentle with you, though, right now. None of these fucking demons were going to pass a $1.8 trillion proposal, okay? None of them. If Nancy Pelosi turned around and said yes to the 1.8 trillion, you think Republicans were going to say, all right, I guess we're now going to work? You have no understanding of electoralism because you have demonized electoralism to begin with. You don't understand how this back and forth even works. And that's precisely why you're over here like, oh, why is Nancy Pelosi hurting the working class? Like, shut the fuck up. She's hurting the working class because she's a fucking diabolical, wealthy piece of shit that's completely out of touch. But ultimately, she's also operating on a fucking playing field with even more diabolical individuals who were not going to concede regardless. I hate this, like, performative virtue signaling in my chat. Like, oh, sweaty, hurting the working class to get one on Trump. Like, what the fuck are you going on about? Yeah, dude, you think Republicans who literally up until last week were saying $0 for you, $0 for you, you fucking peasant, all of a sudden are going to actually concede to $1.8 trillion? Get your fucking dumbass virtue signaling ass out of my fucking chat, you stupid fuck. And the Democrats aren't good at politics to begin with. There are many areas where you could shit on Nancy Pelosi with the way that she has mishandled this entire process. She could have used her leverage early on. The most significant leverage that they had was a budget. Like, she could have just stopped that budget from passing until the Senate Republicans made concessions on the stimulus package. Okay? That was an actual weapon in her arsenal that she totally just passed through regardless. But we're talking about dealing with a group of people who are very openly saying, no, the fuck, we're not going to work with the Democrats to give money to the poor. Get the fuck out of here. And you're over here like, it's Nancy Pelosi's fault. Like, wake the fuck up, dude. Yeah, she sucks, okay? She absolutely sucks. But, like, be smart about it for, like, a brief moment. She's the least diabolical and dishonest. Let me defend Milady. Do you even hear yourself? Yeah, dude, I'm simping for Nancy Pelosi because I'm a simp. You know, I call her an evil, out-of-touch demon every other day, but the one time maybe I agree with her, I guess I must be a simp.
Fighting hard, Nancy and I, to get an agreement.
Idiot.
We've come down from our 3.4 trillion, which we think is what is really needed, given the enormity of this crisis, to 2.2. We hope the Republicans will now come meet us in the middle, and we might get something done.
They do not share our values. Have a little respect for the fact that we know something about these subjects. And
So this is idiotic. Her defense here is not great. They do not share our values is a good line, but have some respect for our knowledge? No, idiot. What you're supposed to say in that circumstance is, oh yeah? You think Republicans want to give the working class anything? Then why the fuck have they been saying $0 for you for the past couple of months, even when Donald Trump was saying we need to give money? When Jerome Powell is saying we need to open the faucet for the American working class. These people will melt down the economy before they give you crumbs. They already got away with the money cannon. They already got away with trillions of dollars of the corporations of the wealthy. And that's why we need to take as much money as we can this second time around. I know, in the words of Nancy Pelosi, I'm Nancy Pelosi here. I know I'm an out of touch, wealthy, Jenny's ice cream eating, $15,000 fridge having Andy. Okay? But right now, I'm correct. I'm that Andy on your side. Okay? I'm the one who's trying to get you $400 extra billion. I'm the one who's trying to make sure that the counter proposal that features an amendment that would set a horrifying reality. Of course you eat Jenny's ice cream. You are also libbizzle.
His name is Hassan.
You're also a liberal working within the democratic infrastructure. Of course you eat Jenny's ice cream. Anyway, I need her to say here, these guys are fucking vultures. They're sickos. They don't give a fuck about the working class. And while it's easy for you to say, I don't give a fuck about the working class either, because I don't, is what Nancy would say. In this circumstance, I'm correct. I'm using all the fucking political capital I have to leverage as many pennies as we can get out of the Republicans. Whether she's honest about her intentions or if she's purely doing this to fucking spite Donald Trump's chances of re-election does not matter. That's what she should say. And she would be well within her rights to say that.
And there's a big difference between Democrats and Republicans in whether they want to give a big tax cut to the wealthiest people in the country in their bill, in the CARES Act. We tried to take it out in this bill. Instead, they took out earned income tax credit, child tax credit, expanded health benefits to UI benefits to the extent that it was agreed to before. So this is, I have every confidence in what and the arguments that we make because it's based on science and documentation. Our chairs know
it's terrible
stuff.
The current Federal Reserve Chair and his two immediate predecessors told us that Congress must provide additional fiscal support for a strong recovery. This bill extends enhanced unemployment benefits, provides additional direct payments, expands food assistance, and provides housing support. I always say, Mr. Speaker, that if the distance between me and the opponent on any issue require 5 steps, I don't mind taking 3 of them.
Gentleman's time has expired.
But I hope the other side will meet us.
His name is Hassan.
It's nuts. It's nuts that like people are. I don't understand how people are fucking still like shitting on Nancy Pelosi beyond like the regular amount of shitting on that she deserves, or not taking initiative early on, not messaging it appropriately early on, not applying more pressure to leverage her inevitable position. Like, if she was for months communicating the reality on the ground or in the reality behind closed doors in Washington, D.C. about the wholehearted refusal of Republicans to ever concede to any proposal, no matter how fucking small, if she was doing that better, we wouldn't be running into this problem that we currently are running into.
This is a deranged pervert.
Transparency in our Democratic Party.
The people who are saying, why doesn't she concede to the 1.8 trillion? Why is she giving yet another functional dub to the Republicans
This is a
who will
deranged-
not even use the 1.8
Back in
trillion.
the club, baby.
You're being crazy. Republicans are not going to pass a 1.8 trillion recovery effort. You understand that, right? If you say yes now to the 1.8 trillion, you're going to get mad and say yes when that 1.8 trillion goes down to 300 billion and it's mostly corporate subsidies. You understand that, right? You get it, right? Which is the original Republican proposal that they would do. I don't understand how you can't recognize this. I hate this notion that like you're trying to fucking pin this on poor people against like Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell when no one gives a fuck about poor people. Hello. Poor people are out of the equation, okay? If they all fucking turned into biomatter for fuel tomorrow, Democrats and Republicans would not care. They are powerful. They work at the interest of the elites. They don't give a fuck. Shut the fuck up. Neither side cares about poor people. Wake the fuck up. But it's nuts when at least one side makes it seem like they fucking give a shit about poor people, whether it's to literally attack Donald Trump or whether it's because they genuinely care about fucking some of their constituents to a certain degree. It doesn't matter what Nancy Pelosi's intentions are, our honest intentions are here. One side is advocating for $2.2 trillion. They originally said 3.4. They went down to 2.2. Okay? The other side is saying 0. They're saying fuck you. They're saying fuck you, you fucking dirty, disgusting peasants. You get nothing. You get nothing. That's what they're doing to you. And you're still over here like, oh, I don't really like the way Nancy Pelosi is arguing herself on CNN. Oh my God. Huh. You're really being biased against the Republicans here. Like, dude, they would kill you if they could. They do. If that increased the fucking bottom line of DuPont, then they'll just as easily poison your water supply. And you're over here talking about like, why aren't they conceding the $1.8 trillion? Like, get the fuck out of here. That's not happening. That's not happening. Wake the fuck up. These motherfuckers literally said, kill your grandparents so the line god can be fed. That's not me, it's Greg Abbott. He went on television and literally said, if your grandparents die, well, you know, that's just the way things are. Okay? These are the motherfuckers who were literally saying, well, the overwhelming majority of people that are dying are over the age of 78, which is actually the average life expectancy. So technically, what they're doing here is, you know, they already have a lot of extra years of life. So it's not that big of a deal if they die. Like, they literally said that. That was 4 months ago, man. It wasn't Greg Abbott. It was Dan Patrick who said that. Sorry. And you're over here like, why won't they pass 1.8 trillion? Like, yeah, Nancy Pelosi is being mean to the working poor. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Wake up. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi's being mean to the working poor, but she's the best opportunity the working poor has currently to get anything, okay? To get fucking crumbs. Jesus Christ. If nothing will be passed, then at least win on messaging with Nancy Pelosi's failing at. Yes, Nancy Pelosi's failing on messaging because she fucking sucks. You're a full-blown libtard. No wonder you haven't been censored. I haven't been censored because your mom is doing the censoring and I fuck her every night.
Progress. Currently working on my lib family. Reaching across the aisle is a joke.
Fucking Donald Trump last week literally said, I'm halting the negotiation talks until re-election because we should focus on appointing Amy Coney Barrett. And there's still idiotic lefties in my audience who are like, it's actually Nancy Pelosi's fault. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. What are you, crazy?
With Stephen Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, speaking at the Milken Conference this morning, our Jessica Smith has been monitoring those comments and comments coming from other quarters as well. Jess, what's the latest?
Well, Secretary Mnuchin said at that conference this morning that getting something done on stimulus and executing.
Yeah, what we should do actually is make sure that Donald Trump wins, because that's the only chance for us to actually push for a stimulus package. The only way McConnell allows a stimulus package to push to go through is if Donald Trump is reelected. So actually, throw out your ballots for Joe Biden, guys, and vote for Donald Trump too. Just keel, just concede every step of the fucking way, okay? Just grovel and beg. Good strategy, guys.
On it before the election would be difficult. He did go on to say that the two sides will continue negotiating, trying to come up with an agreement. But again, that will be difficult before the election in just a couple of weeks. We know that Mnuchin and House Speaker Pelosi spoke this morning for about an hour. Pelosi's office said the conversation was productive, but she did note that there is a big difference in the national testing strategy. She says there is a lack of strategy from the administration, so that's an issue that needs to be worked out. Mnuchin called the conversation comprehensive. He says they're making progress in some areas, but they still remain far apart in others. One of the trickiest areas in these negotiations is state and local aid. The moderator of this discussion asked him if the administration would be willing to come up and give more money to state and local governments. Here's what he had to say.
We've compromised significantly, but let me just emphasize there are money issues. There's also policy issues. The bill that the House passed is close to 1,600 pages. The importance is in the details. We're going through language. One of the things that's very important to us is making sure that we have liability protection for small businesses and for schools as they reopen. There's lots of significant issues here.
I love Mnuchin saying that. You know what that is, right? It's not for... Anytime Republicans act like they give a shit about small businesses, know that they're not talking about small businesses. They're talking about liability protection for corporations, okay? So that when Starbucks forces you to go to fucking work in the middle of a goddamn pandemic, when there's like one ICU bed now available in North Dakota, which is true, by the way, according to officials, there's only one fucking ICU bed available in the entire state now, okay? There's only one ICU bed left. You have no way to fucking sue your corporation for forcing you, despite the fact that you said, I don't want to go to work because I'm scared that I'm going to get COVID. Okay? That's it. That's what they're trying to do. Even in the 1.8 trillion proposal that they're probably not going to pass regardless, they're trying to get that poison bill in there. Okay? Aren't you using whataboutism now? Wait, what? How is that whataboutism? He just said he wants liability protection for corporations.
His name is Hassan.
I love how you think you know everything. I don't know anything. I'm a fucking idiot. But guess what? I'm an idiot who fucking reads, and I'm an idiot who pays attention to this shit, apparently more than you do. So it comes across as though I know more than you when I don't. I'm a fucking moron. But even I, as a goddamn himbo, can recognize getting fucked in the ass when I'm staring down the barrel of a dick, okay?
When the moderator pressed Mnuchin a little bit further on that state and local aid, he said that the administration does not want to bail out pensions, other bad practices, but he did say that the administration wants to avoid layoffs of police officers, firefighters, first responders, because he noted that would be bad for the U.S. economy and cost the federal government in unemployment. He went on to say that Speaker Pelosi's all or nothing approach does not make sense to him. He doesn't want to wait for this comprehensive deal, though they are still working on it. He wants to see immediate action now. He specifically mentioned putting some of the remaining PPP funds to use. We know the Senate is set to vote on a piece of legislation that would address that issue next week. Pelosi and Mnuchin are set to talk again tomorrow morning, so we'll be looking for any updates on that conversation.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman.
Great. What happens to the working poor if they get absolutely zero? They are getting absolutely zero, whether Trump wins or Trump loses, Biden wins or Biden loses. Nancy Pelosi fucking says yes to 1.8 trillion. The only way that the working poor get any fucking money is if somehow Republicans find it in their hearts to allow to offer crumbs back to the working class while still trying to shovel as much money or as many liability protections to corporations as possible. Okay, that's the only way you're gonna get a dollar. That's it. Just like when you get gigantic tax cuts and lower the corporate tax rate from a president who claimed that he was going to end loopholes for these corporations that take advantage of tax shelters and tax havens and whatnot. Just like the modest middle class tax cuts that you get sunsetted, whereas the tax cuts to the wealthy and the marginal tax rate is made permanent, you get nothing, okay? You get fucking nothing. Functionally, the middle class and the working poor is paid more in this country in the past 20 years, a larger percentage of their overall wealth and net worth than wealthy people in corporations, okay? That's just the reality. And that has gotten worse and worse for you, okay? We are keeping this entire fucking economy and this country alive with our tax dollars, so that those tax dollars can turn around and bail out corporations that are too big to fucking fail, okay? Mental gymnastics say stimulus delays Pelosi's fault. Ignore so many months of Republicans trying their best to stop it. It's not even just months. They're still trying to stop it. It's silly. They're not doing that. They're not going to fucking give you anything. Republicans are not going to give you shit. The only existing leverage that Nancy Pelosi has in this circumstance is the fear of re-election and agitating the Trump camp as much as possible to pin them against the Senate Republicans, to make the Senate Republicans look so bad that the constituents of those Senate Republicans end up fucking freaking out and yelling at them. Anyway, it's ad time and then we're back to this stuff. And then more fun things, okay? Barron Trump had coronavirus. What? Breaking news from Bloomberg. We'll talk about that as well. 6-second ad break though. Leading conservative activists discuss the election strategy at closed-door meetings. We need to stop. What? Be not afraid of the accusations that you are a voter suppressor. At the presidential campaign in its final stages, the fresh-faced Republican... I don't care. We already know who the fuck Charlie Kirk is. Videos provided to the Post covering dozens of hours of CMP meetings over 3 days.
I'm fighting every single day from now to the election. I am more and more optimistic about the president's chances. I think we're going to do really well with younger voters. The Democrats have done a really foolish thing by shutting down all these campuses. Foolish for them. It's going to remove ballot harvesting opportunities and all their voter fraud that they usually do on college campuses. So they're actually removing 500,000 votes off the table. So please keep the campuses closed. It's a great thing. So whatever.
There's a big thing.
Okay. Videos provided to the Post covering dozens of CMP meetings over 3 days in February and 3 in August offer an inside view of the participants' obsessions and fears at a pivotal moment of the conservative movement. The videos recorded by CMP to share with its members show influential activists discussing election tactics, amplifying conspiracy theorists, and describing much of America in a dark and apocalyptic terms. This is a spiritual battle we're in. This is good versus evil, says CMP's Executive Committee President Bill Walton. This is not something that they don't say. They say that all the time. We have to do everything we can to win. They say this all the time, too. Tom Fitton, who is the largest himbo on the Republican side, by the way. Tom barely fitting into his skin-tight polo tees. Also president of Judicial Watch. Told attendees... Here, by the way, for those of you who don't know, this is what fucking Tom Fitton looks like. He is the apex himbo. I was not lying.
His name is Hassan.
Anyway. told attendees that same day on the left is wargaming a plan to delay the election and enable House Speaker to become acting president. This is kind of like crazy talk among political people, Fitton said, but he added, this is not an insignificant concern. Yeah, they're psychotic. And not shocking that they believe in like these insane conspiracy theories.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm out of control. I apologize for that.
Do you think of the eviction moratorium? It only delays the inevitable, but I wonder what's going to happen when it ends at the end of the year.
Anyway, he's fit, but that faces a tragedy. Yeah. Expressing concern about voter disenfranchisement. In an interview with the Post, Fitton elaborated, the left has wargamed this out. It could cause civil war. Yeah, right. Okay, where's Charlie? Ralph Reed, chairman of the nonprofit. Wait, this is really funny. At the time of the meeting, Trump and his campaign officials were blasting practices and abuse by Democrats. Get rid of the ballot harvesting. It's rampant with fraud, right? Remember, you know how Donald Trump said this about ballot harvesting? Well, let's take a look at some other stuff that Trump said recently to the California GOP. Oh, wow, that's crazy. So Trump urged California GOP to fight on with unofficial ballot boxes despite the prosecution threat. This is election fraud. Putting fake ballot boxes that say official on top of them. The California GOP putting fake ballot boxes to steal votes is an actual felony. Chat, this is an actual felony. Donald Trump is asking the California Republican Party to continue to collect ballots in unofficial drop boxes around the state in defiance of legal threats from state officials. An actual fucking felony. But hey guys, back in spring he said get rid of ballot harvesting is rampant with fraud. Wow. There is not a single thing that Republicans don't accuse their opponents of that they themselves don't actually do. Democrats are legitimate pussies who will never fucking do shit like this. The most that they do is gerrymandering, okay? Every now and then. Meanwhile, you guys do it too? No, I wish they fucking did. I wish they did more of this shit. Actually, I don't wish that they did this. They don't have to do it. They don't have to do it. There's more Democrats than there are Republicans. They literally don't have to do it, okay? They don't. They don't. In the primaries, they can use the media to fucking motivate voters to vote for whoever the fuck they want because those are like they're hyper partisan Democrats that love establishment media. And in the general, again, there are more Democrats than there are Republicans. All they need to do is like win in a couple key states and they're good. So they don't do this shit. Democrats aren't doing fucking poll watchers. Last time Democrats did poll watchers, they were the Dixiecrats who wanted to make sure black people couldn't vote. Now the Republicans are the ones who are doing that very openly and agitating against it. Okay? Can you explain the liberal hate of the Deep South in Appalachia? I live in the Deep South and see libs disdain southern states like no Democrats leftists live here at all. Interesting enough, 40% of Mississippi where I live is African Americans, and we have 6 ICU beds left in our state. It's elitism. It's just that's it. Well, Appalachia is like, West Virginia is an entirely different thing. I cannot describe West Virginia and the way it operates. I don't get it. It's like Florida and West Virginia should just like be separate territories where people just that want to live there should live there. We should give them every opportunity to leave. But the mountain mamas in that area, they have fucking lost their minds. Okay? It's a different planet. Actually, it's not a different planet. What's happened in West Virginia? What's happened in fucking West Virginia in the aftermath of like coal mining and all those industries getting eviscerated and no longer having any sort of fucking unionization, no longer having any sort of like union power there, has of course turned all of these fucking lumpen proles into gigantic reactionaries that despise Democratic Party, because you have to have Democratic Party by way of unions get voted in places like that. Okay? So when your economy is destroyed and you have no union telling you, like, you have to vote Democrat, don't be a fucking idiot. All right? You're, of course, going to flip. What do you think happened in Pennsylvania? When you have entire economies wiped the fuck out and no more unions, when you have entire economies wiped the fuck out and no more unions, and the only places where people actually congregate are churches and shit, and the only difference between the Democratic and the Republican Party are culture war issues that the Republicans do a better job of advocating for, then of course they're going to go vote for the fucking Republicans. Same with Michigan. Same with all the states that Trump won that he should not have won. That is because there are no more fucking unions. That is because there are no more industries. There's no way to organize. These people are fucking separated from one another, and there's not a single person telling them, here is why you need to vote Democrat. And the people who disagree with me on this are not paying attention. Okay? Yeah, I saw Barron had COVID.
What are the 5 freedoms of the First Amendment?
Speech, religion, press, assembly. Speech, press, religion, assembly. I don't know. What am I missing?
Redress or protest.
Okay.
Who cares? That doesn't mean anything. That's not the big, like, own that you think it is. And Dems need to make insane lies like right-wingers are like Biden is Marxist. You can just call Republicans what they are and what they do, and it will seem demonic to voters because it is. Yeah. Anyway. You're being smug about not taking notes. She doesn't have to take notes. She doesn't actually have to fucking say anything. The entire purpose of this is to like block and push, deflect, and understandably not give any like clear cut, not answer any like way that she would deliberate in the future.
But a very simple.
It's a wrap. Like she's gonna fucking, barring any sort of procedural hurdle that the Democrats can throw, and it's an entirely separate story if they have the energy or the enthusiasm to do that or not. But barring any sort of like fucking pushback from the Democratic Party using the machinations of the state, okay, the pre-existing procedural burdens or procedural hurdles, she's already fucking confirmed, okay? That's the only shot. Nancy can do some shit. Chuck Schumer can do some shit, but that's it.
Aware that there have been studies done.
And so the U.S. Sentencing Commission provides non-binding federal guidelines to federal judges, which showed that some of the racial disparities in our criminal justice system, they talk about that considerably. And my colleagues and I on both sides of the aisle, as we worked on criminal justice reform, discussed a lot of them. And some of those, as I discussed yesterday, were
But judges isn't supposed to. Many Democrat judges have done the same thing. Yo, guy, I know, okay? That's why I said she doesn't need to, and she doesn't have to, and many don't. I know, okay? You're not like owning me when you repeat what I've already just said to you, okay? God damn, dude.
Which on average actually added 10 years.
Okay, so why yell and complain? Because you don't fucking hear the things that I'm saying or misunderstand me and repeat the same point that I made and think that that's a fucking own.
Or the facts that they cite in the study showing that interracial bias is present in our system. And you know, I think in our discussion, I think it came out that you know that these issues of bias in our criminal justice system are manifest really in many different aspects of the system.
You make a cameo in the new Wisecrack video, Why Are Smart People So Dumb?
Use of force,
really?
To prosecutorial bias, sentencing disparities. These are wide and vast areas.
You think you taught me that, LMAO? Okay, dude. Once again, it doesn't matter if I taught you that or not. What matters is I already said it and you repeated it and then you made it seem like I hadn't said it. That's the point. Okay. All the Chud news is molding because Twitter is censoring posts about that BS post story. So let's watch. So what is the new revelation, the bombshell revelations from the Hunter Biden? It's the Hunter Biden Defense Hour. This is the Hunter Biden Defense Brigade. I would like to hear what the fuck's going on with Hunter Biden. Where's Hunter? I want to know. I ask. Top of the hour ad? I already ran it, I think. Pretty sure I ran an ad, didn't I? Nope, I'm running it now. Hunter Biden emails show leveraging, what is this? Connections with Burisma? Okay, let's watch.
Cash all around the world, I would think that represents pretty strong potential conflict of interest, extortion, counterintelligence risks that we simply can't ignore.
This advances a narrative that has its origins in the Kremlin and has been propagated by Kremlin agents in Ukraine. The point of the report is a political one, to have an impact on the election.
Says this report contains direct evidence that Joe Biden doesn't.
Oh yeah, everything that's bad is Kremlin. That was good. That definitely worked. That definitely worked last time around, so we should do that again.
Wet ass P word. Make that pullout game weak.
That was a good call. That certainly worked last time around, so I'm glad that they're doing it. Like, I'm glad that they're running that again.
Doesn't have the judgment needed to serve as president. President of Security Studies, Jim Hansen, joins me live to explain. Jim, look, critics are going to say, Hunter's not running for president. Why do you make that leap?
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
I didn't make the leap. Hunter made the leap onto Air Force Two with Vice President Joe Biden on a couple of dozen trips where he was, like they said, hoovering up cash from foreign governments. He cashed in Ukraine, from China, and from Russia, which might be the only place they found any actual Russia collusion going on. And Joe Biden knew that was going on, obviously, and so did other members of the Obama administration. They just didn't seem to care, and that is a direct evidence.
This is an old video. Does anyone have a good video? I want to see like what I want to see what the in video form what the position is. All right, I guess we'll just watch this one. I hate these sorts of videos, but who cares about Hunter? Ultimately, none of this matters because it's literally not, it's not Joe Biden. They can just, Joe Biden's campaign could easily just be like, yeah, everybody has that like loser in the family or the black sheep. Who gives a fuck? It is not the same. They're trying their best to like pin it on Joe. It's still corruption. It's just the regular kind of corruption that you see all the time. I've talked about this before, if you guys remember. Where Hunter served on the board of directors. Like, the funniest part about this was always the fact that ultimately Joe Biden made a decision to threaten the company that his son was on the board of. So like, that's not how conspiracies work, okay? If ultimately he was on the side of Burisma, then this would be infinitely more important as a conspiracy theory. Okay? But he literally pressured international authorities and the Ukrainian government to continue its investigation on Burisma, the company that his son was sitting on the board of. So that makes no sense. This is the key. The claim is that while Hunter lived in LA, he dropped off a laptop in Delaware, forgot about it. The owner copied a hard drive and they gave it only to Rudy, LMAO. This is literally their only source. Yeah, okay. While Joe Biden has been adamant that he's never spoken to his son about Hunter's overseas business dealings, and the correspondence seems to indicate otherwise. One message was allegedly... Dude, here's why this is a failure. Okay? This was a fucking failure that wasn't messaging that impacted anyone outside of like the liberal circles that already watch MSNBC. This is the exact same thing. They looked at a horrible fucking campaign strategy in the form of Russiagate, and they were like, let's do our very own version. You think Americans give a fuck about random ass Eastern European names and like learning all that shit? You know who that's for? That's for the birds, okay? That is for the New York media crowd and the old people who get their brain poisoning every day from MSNBC, who have disposable income and too much time on their fucking hands. Okay? That's it.
Family is the most corrupt political family in American history. I can prove it. Joe Biden is terrified that you are about to hear the truth.
I love this.
I'm Donald Trump Jr. I'm the son of the President of the United States. I understand the pressure of being a prominent member of the first family.
Yeah, oh God. He's so ugly. I can't watch this. It's like 6 minutes of his fucking chinless face. I can't. Like, they're so fucking corrupt. At least Hunter Biden is hot, dude. He wins. Sorry. Yeah, I'm fucking body shaming, dude. Fuck it. I'm saying it, dude. At least Hunter Biden is hot and cool. Okay? Yeah, I like that. Here is picture evidence that I am actually Donald Trump's son. You might think that I'm not because I'm rarely ever around my father, and he cringes physically every time I call him my father when we are on camera in the limited moments together. But he is my father. This is a red circle that indicates this reality. Liberals will say that Donald Trump is not my father, but it is the truth.
His name is Hassan.
How can he say he's cool? He literally fucked his brother who died in the war's wife. Wait. Joe Biden didn't die in the war. He died because he had cancer. And also, you think I give a fuck that he fucked and then took care of his dead brother's wife, dude? Fuck no. That's the biblical thing to do, brother. You ever heard of a little thing called the Old Testament? Yeah, brother, the war on cancer. Fuck no. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, stop. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I like this. I already talked about this, but it's like, it's very bold of them to go with the story. It's very bold of New York Post to go with the October surprise.
You smell
that that Hunter Biden is both hot and also very cool, and like made a lot of money from foreign powers, even when he didn't have literally any fucking power over his father whatsoever. Okay, pretty poggers. Good for him. Look, you can shit on Joe Biden all day, and I'll be here for you. But if you try to come for Hunter Biden, you best not miss. Okay? Because you're wrong. Hunter Biden is a goddamn king. A man who says no to cocaine and does crack instead. The proletarian's cocaine, the working man's cocaine. Hunter Biden says yes to crack. You kidding me? Fucks prostitutes, strippers, has children with them. Fucks his dead brother's wife, takes care of the children. Runs around all over the world. Gets like jewelry worth millions of dollars from Chinese ambassadors and shit. The man is Nathan Drake. I'm sorry. He is what Donald Trump Jr. and that other one that I keep forgetting the name of because that's how fucking irrelevant those chinless inbred fucks are. He is what they wish they were. Okay? An actual legend. Sorry. Hunter Biden used a series of initials RCP, RSTP, and BHRT. Look at how hot he is on top of everything else. The email wrapped up with Hunter Biden saying, we should also find a highly credible and discreet firm to perform due diligence and deep information for us on an ongoing basis, the kind of people that can get us information that's not available through a Google search and some phone calls. His conviction was later overturned by the presiding judge, who cited an unwavering concern that Archer is innocent, but reinstated this month by a Manhattan federal court. He has been pushing widely discredited conspiracy theories about the Biden family, openly relying on actors tied to Russian intelligence, the lawyer George R. Messira said of Giuliani.
You right back to mommy. You get your milk.
You really are a moron.
Thank you, FGY, for the $5 dono. So let's see. I'm going to go through a few issues of the New York Post, an article on Biden, which I won't link to, but you'll probably see on Twitter today. Follow along. First, the information comes from a laptop that was allegedly dropped off at a repair shop in Biden's home state of Delaware and never picked up. The shop owner, who's not identified, couldn't possibly identify the customer as Hunter Biden. Oh, it's definitely hacked. There's no fucking way. This is like total. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, dude. Yeah, they 100% hacked this shit and leaked it to Rudy Giuliani. Okay, dude. He's literally just as, if not more corrupted than Trump kids. Yeah, but guess what? He does it in style. Have you considered the fact that he's hot while he's doing it? And therefore, I don't give a fuck. There you go. There's your answer. Okay? Okay. By the way, the reality that like this is probably coming from like a Russian hack or something, because these idiots don't know how to protect their information, which is they have no like security on their own info, is much more reasonable and actually offers more credibility to the information that was being revealed. Like if they used, I don't know, WikiLeaks or some shit again, they would have had a better time. The shop owner thinks it was Hunter Biden because of the Beau Biden sticker on the laptop. This makes no sense. You drop off an expensive MacBook at the repair shop and don't leave your name or contact information. But then after claiming the shop owner couldn't identify the customer, the piece includes a receipt that was issued to Hunter Biden and includes an email and phone number. So why would the shop owner produce a receipt for Hunter Biden if he didn't know the ID of the customer? The piece claims the shop owner then alerted the FBI to the existence of the laptop, and it was later subpoenaed by a grand jury. But the grand jury subpoena shown does not connect the laptop to Hunter Biden. Then things get very weird. The shop owner says before turning over the computer to the feds, they made a copy of the contents of the computer and gave it to Rudy Giuliani's lawyer. Okay, here's what happened. They probably hacked this information, put it in a hard drive that made it seem like it was Hunter Biden's. Okay, like put it in a laptop to make it seem like it was Hunter Biden's, and then and that's where we're at. Okay, the cover story is so fucking dumb. The cover story is so dumb. Like they literally would have had a better job if they just did the exact same thing that they did in 2016. I'm not even kidding. If they did the exact same thing that they did in 2016, they would have an easier shot at having people recognize this as legitimate information.
Pervert.
Okay? If they just said, here, like, oops, WikiLeaks revealed information from a hack.
I love the system. I can now remove the tinfoil hat.
There would be more. I mean, I do not contest the accuracy of the leaks that came from this shop. I just don't think that that's how they arrived at this information. Okay? Unless it's like clearly photoshopped. Unless the contents itself are like clearly photoshopped and not even real. The New York Post allegedly learned about this copy of the laptop through Steve Bannon. Both Giuliani and Bannon are regular sources of disinformation, of course. But this is the important point. Pretending for a moment that everything in the story is true, very doubtful. It is totally inconsequential. Supposedly, one email recovered in the laptop proves the Hunter once introduced a Burisma exec to his father. That's the scandal. There's no word of the length of the meeting or what was discussed. The New York Post says it's significant because Biden then called for the ouster of the Ukrainian prosecutor investigating Burisma. False. The prosecutor was not investigating Burisma. The prosecutor was corrupt, which is why